Worth Results to help people maximize their potential and achieve what they want out of life. Today, we're going to start a series of podcasts on the power of networking, and today is episode 1, Networking Fundamentals. So put away all your distractions and focus on today's lesson because this podcast class is now in session. So we're going to go a bit in a different direction. We're going to discuss how to expand your success through my networking series. Today, we're just going to start off introducing the concept of networking. For those that have heard the term, but perhaps haven't really done it before, or you've been doing it, but maybe not to your fullest potential, the power of networking can be extremely beneficial. Whether you are starting out in your career, just looking for work, or if you're in a business, whether you're employed or self-employed, networking can help you expand your level of success. As always, before I talk about it, I always want to define what it is I plan to talk about. So, just to make sure we get everybody on a level playing field. Again, if you were to Google it, you would likely see networking defined as this. Networking is the exchange of information and ideas among people with a common profession or special interest, usually in an informal setting. Now, that's certainly a part of it, but I believe that definition is missing some key variables, and I want to start by breaking that down first. The first part they talk about is the exchange of information and ideas among people. First, well, what information and what ideas? It's very, very broad. But you know what? I get that. It needs to be broad because there are several levels of networking. And, in order to define it, you need to consider all of them. So, with that, if you're just starting out in your job or in a business or even looking for work, getting to know more people is crucial. Why? Well, we're living in a world right now that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And you never know what opportunities can be presented by getting to know people. And you never know who someone knows that may be able to help you. For example, let's say you're at a networking event where your objective is to get your name out there and get more business. To do that, you go to this networking event and get to know people, and in turn, they get to know you. They get to know what you do. They get to know what you're looking for. When you meet people, you first start out with the exchange of information, as per the definition. Now, that could be your name, it could be what you do, it could be where or who you work for. It could be just the exchange of contact information, how they reach out to you, your business card, that kind of thing. But after that, the exchange can be information that results in getting to know you and you getting to know them. Networking works best when there's a common interest held. You both are in the same industry, you live in the same area, you went to the same school, you have the same degree. The opportunities for commonality, honestly, are endless. But after that, we'll talk about this process much more in detail shortly. But after you've passed all this information and you start to go back to networking events and see the same people, you're not going to pass that same old information. As the definition continues, among people with common profession or special interest, that's the commonality. Things you share in common, that's what we talk about. And finally, usually in an informal setting. Now, what does that mean? Is that at the movies? No. Well, that would actually be super cool, but it means outside of a regular business meeting. However, this is where I question some of the gaps. Informal settings could mean a lot of different things. They could mean on the golf course. They could mean in restaurants. And that happens quite regularly. But there are official networking events put in place for the purposes of people coming together formally and, networking. So, I can continue to pick apart the definition, but really, it's a fine definition, but it's only really, in my opinion, just at the surface level. To really understand networking and the power of networking, you need to understand what it can do for you and why it's so important. As I said earlier, we are living in a world and it's all about who you know. The more people you know, then odds are the more likely there's a chance you can have someone help you, right? Well, sure, but it isn't always that easy. Take social media, for example. Some people have thousands and thousands, 1 million followers. That doesn't mean these followers really know you. Yes, you have visibility, but do you have credibility with them? That's where we get to the importance of networking. Networking is a system of visibility, credibility, which leads to profitability. Here's an example. Do you have friends that you haven't seen in years? Sure you do. We all do. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being low and 10 being high, how comfortable would you be to call them up and say, hey, let's get together? 5 out of 10, 7 or 8 out of 10? What about how comfortable would you be to now ask that person for a favor? Did that scale slip down a bit to 1 or 2? That's the difference between you having lots of contacts and knowing people, having people in your network that you can reach out to and ask for favors. So, networking starts by having people see you, getting to know you, and you getting to know them. And the more people that see you, the more they will get to know you, as long as you are letting them get to know you. I mean, if you go to these networking events and sit in the corner and don't talk to anybody, or maybe you join a crowd to blend in and hear names of others but don't introduce yourself, that's not going to work. Again, they need to see you. They need to recognize you. They need to get to know you. I've been networking and am actually a certified networker for almost 3 decades. Yes, I started when I was 3. And you would think I would have this all down to a science, but, and I do, but I'm going to share a secret with you. I hate going to networking events where I don't know a single person. I just hate them. Why? They're intimidating. It's like the first day of school and you go to school and you don't know anyone and you think, if I could just make some friends, hey, 1 friend, then it's all going to be worth it. It's the exact same thing. But that's just the fear talking, and you all know what I think about fear. But fear does creep in when I think of going to a new networking event. I want to share a story with you when I was younger and was going out to a new networking event. And of course, I had to go because it was my job. It was actually a customer appreciation event. So some of my new customers were there. And it was also an opportunity to do some networking, getting the customers to get to know me and getting some colleagues. I just started in the area and this was a great opportunity. So I really had to go, but I didn't know anybody. I was telling a colleague that I really wasn't looking forward to going. And he said this to me. And it's something that stuck with me. And honestly, I've never forgotten it. And I never will. He said, if you don't go, you rob those people of the benefit of them getting to know you. At that time, I thought, wow. And he's right. If I don't go and talk to people, I won't get to know them and they won't get to know me. So, with courage in hand, I went to the event, I walked in, and I kept saying to myself, spread the benefit, spread the benefit, spread the benefit. And I did. I started up and I thought, okay, how can I make this work? I started acting like a hostess of the event. I walked around and I was asking how everybody was. And I asked if they were having a good time. And I told everyone my name and how I can help them and make things better. And if they need anything, just to let me know, et cetera, basically what a hostess does. And it was working. It was working pretty well. Until I walked up to this group of 3 people and I thought, okay, here we go. Spread the benefit. And I noticed no one was talking, so I made sure that when I walked up to people or groups that I wasn't interrupting anybody's conversation. I picked my moments, but I said, how's everyone doing tonight? Silence. Worse than silence. all three people looked at me with shock and surprise. Like I said something that was completely unexpected. Like, who in the heck is this person? I was dumbfounded. Nothing was coming out of their mouths for 10 seconds, 20 seconds. I just stood there with a silly smile on my face. And then I said, "Hi, I'm Sue Wedsworth." I had a name tag on, and they could see that. But again, nothing. I couldn't even say, "And you are?" Now what? How can you spread the benefit if people don't say anything? So after a minute of that awkwardness, I said, "Well, I hope you enjoy yourselves. It was great meeting you." And then I turned around and left. Man, it was like I went into the cool kids section in school, and everyone looked at horror at me, wondering who was I and why was I there? So did that set me back? Yeah, it did. Quite a bit. But you know what? I did my best to try and walk around and regroup and get to know people. After the evening was over, I said to myself, "Good job," patted myself on the back. I did it. I set out what I planned to do. But I swear to you, that vision of those three people looking at me and saying nothing haunted me. Now, interestingly enough, a few days later, I got an email from a person at my company. She said, "Hey, I met you at the client appreciation event," and she wanted to know if I wanted to get together over the next couple of days or next week, to get to know each other. Yay, it worked. And you know who that was? It was one of those three people who stared at me and said nothing. Are you kidding me? We were employed by the same organization. She didn't even say that. I'd actually talked to her about it later when we got to know each other a bit. And she said, I had been taken aback by surprise. She was with two of her best clients, and she was so concerned they weren't enjoying themselves. When I came over, she thought, maybe this person's trying to take the clients away or something. She just kind of froze, and she didn't really know what to do. So I laugh at it now, but at the time, and I put myself back there quite a bit, it's horrendous to go through. So as awful as that experience was for me, that bit of networking still worked out because we ended up connecting, developing a relationship, and we did some business together. But in the category of what not to do in networking, you have to talk to people. But you know what? I get it. Being in a crowd, not knowing anyone, it can be very uncomfortable. And I'm an extrovert, and it's uncomfortable for me. So I know how uncomfortable it is for others. Here's the thing, though. You need to get comfortable with it. One way to help you is to make sure maybe you bring someone that you know. One person who also wants to network, and the two of you can play off each other. More recently, one of my girlfriends sent me an ad for a National Women's Home Show, or not a home show, National Women's Show in Toronto. And I thought, hey, I went back to her and I said, "You want to go with me?" And she went, "Sure." And we did. And we didn't know anyone. I knew her. She knew me. That's all we needed. And we went together and we networked. And we worked the entire event together. And it was great fun. And the following year, we went and did it again. I can provide countless examples and stories of how networking has created job opportunities, business development opportunities, sales, client opportunities, expanded sales again, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to share a lot of those examples in upcoming lessons in this series, so make sure you listen to them. So, networking events. Where do you find them? Well, it depends what you're looking to network for. If it's for jobs, then what industry events can you go to where they have employers? Maybe chambers of commerce events. That works great for that. Now you're sitting here going, "But I'm not a chamber member." That's okay. Most of those are free to go to. Or there's a way that you can still get connected with a member of the chamber and they can bring you as a guest, right? Job fairs, of course, that makes sense for sure, but Chamber of Commerce events, they work better because that's why people go there, is to network. Charity golf tournaments. If you play golf, that's a great thing to go to. If you don't play, well, that's going to be challenging. But they are a great way to network. Networking events through alumni events at your school reunions. But even closer to home, stay in connection with people that you went to school with. Join a sports team. If you play hockey, go find a pickup game to get involved in. Join a baseball league. My girlfriend, when she started selling real estate, joined a local dragon boat team. It worked great. My husband joined the local theater production. You know what? And that's where he met me. So that was a great networking opportunity. Another option is volunteer in your community. That's a great way to get your name out there. Get people to know who you are, and you can discuss with them what you're looking for. But before you start looking at all these events and filling up your calendar and start reaching out to talk to people and see who's on your social media and saying, hey, let's go for coffee, you need to remember something. Networking isn't all about you. Wait, what? You just finished saying that I have to get my name out there. I have to talk to people. Yes, you do. But guess what? The other person has to do the same thing. Ever had a friend that's always talking about themselves and they never ask anything about you? How long do you think you'll stay friends with them? Not very long. So this isn't about you. Yes, you are important, but you won't get anywhere unless you learn about them. You need to be interested in them. It is a two-way street. Relationships are about give and take. You have to spend time getting to know them, and they will be, in turn, getting to know you. It is a back and forth thing. So before you go to these networking events, you need to have a plan. You need to have a script. You need to know what it is that you're going to say. But first and foremost, you need to care about the other person. Theodore Roosevelt once said, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. This is all just the tip of the iceberg, and it relates to the power of networking. I want you to join us for the rest of the series as we moved into the ways to network effectively. This will create amazing success for you. That's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. I know there are a lot of choices out there, and I'm so happy you spent your time with us today. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a lesson. If you want to talk about your own story or have a specific question to be answered next time, head over to WORTHResults.com and connect with me. I would love to hear from you. See you next time.